What up, Nerd Nation? Darth Jaeger coming at you to talk about the fall of fun and the rise of corporatism in fandom.
Monkey brains. Chill the monkey brains.
My old hometown, Calgary, had a long history of sci fi fan conventions going all the way back to 1984 with the Conversion Sci Fi Fantasy Convention, a mostly literary con that I attended regularly from Conversion 3 back in 1986 all the way to Conversion 21 in 2004. It was a great little convention that ran for many years and brought attendees face to face with some of the greats in science fiction and fantasy, including Jack L. Chalker, Mike Grell, L. Sprague de Camp, and George R. R. Martin, as well as well known paleontologist Phil Curry and Star Wars and, well, actor of many, many things, not just Star Wars, Jeremy Bulloch. The beauty of these cons was that the guests would just hang out with fans after hours, happily drinking beers in the con suite, talking for hours about everything under the sun until the room shut down and kicked us out at 2 a.m. Sure, it was a small convention. It was a gathering of about 400 to 500 fans in one of those weekends, but it was nothing if not a fun, fantastic, extraordinary experience every single year. From the licensed con suites to the 24-hour movie rooms, the room parties in the hotels, the dances, the charity auctions, everything about these cons were great. And I never came away from one of these weekends feeling down or grumbling that I paid too much for the experience. But these conventions don't exist anymore. They've all been replaced by gigantic, overstuffed corporate events like Calgary Expo, which, to be fair in itself, began as a small convention back in 2005 until its founder sold it for big bucks in 2017 to Informa, a British business intelligence group with a tax residence in Switzerland, because taxes are way too high in Britain, I guess. But hey, good for them. Taxation is theft. And they basically bought up the majority of the bigger comic book and entertainment cons about 10 years ago and sort of transformed them into these corporate approved expos that are all basically identical, save for the names. And before you say, but Jaeger, isn't bigger always better? In some ways, sure. The larger scope of the Fan Expo allowed me to meet people I never thought I'd ever would in my life. People like William Shatner, the cast of Highlander the series, Gina Carano, who did nothing wrong, by the way, and even guys like Drunk 3PO. The problem with cons getting bigger and bigger and more corporate is that suddenly you have to make an event for a wider audience. The sort of nicheness of comics and sci-fi novels and fantasy books has to widen to this all-encompassing morass of everything under the sun. You walk around these things and it's just Netflix ads and trailers for the latest msheu slop running all day. Signs are posted all around the halls telling people how to behave. Hall monitors in logoed shirts are yelling at you with megaphones and wagging their fingers at you if you take pictures or videos in the wrong place or are perceived to somehow have stepped out of line in any way. The fun that used to be at the heart of fan conventions has been sucked out by people who wouldn't know a Klingon from a Formic. And for what Fan Expo charges for these events, hey, maybe they could pull back on the authoritarianism a scotch. The great things about these smaller cons wasn't just the guest interaction, the comic books, the movies, the dances, the parties, but the sense of a more intimate fellowship amongst we nerds. We didn't just know our fellow conventioneers at the conventions. We knew what they did for a living. We knew their families. We've been to their homes for cookouts and movie marathons and the comparing of collectibles. The convention was the big party at the end of the year that we all looked forward to, where, we couldn't wait to get out and get our geek on, because in those days we wore our nerdiness like a badge of rebellion. We were punk, we were nerd, we were geek extraordinaire. The normies didn't get that, and that was okay. It's still okay. We didn't need them to get it, to understand. We were out there on the fringe, and it didn't matter. And then it all went mainstream. Fandom became corporate, and corporate fandom became a bore and a chore. Now everybody out there is calling themselves nerds. And when everyone's a nerd, then nobody is. Look, I'm no fool. I know that the cons of old are never coming back, and corporate fandom will continue to grow until it collapses under its own weight, and all the fake geeks will find something else to do with their lives, because they don't really care. But in the corners of comic shops and flea markets everywhere, the true nerds will still be flipping through long boxes, listening to FNT on their headphones, and getting together with their fellow nerds on the weekends for a little cookout and a little fun, like the old days. And hey, if y'all are still here, thank you. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know if any of this rambling made any sense. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see all y'all in the next video. Later.